During our travels, we met the #1 chef in Hong Kong. I can't wait to show you what he prepared for us. I'm Thomas Robson, and this is Entree to Asia. Hong Kong is one of the financial capitals of the world. We know that. But along with all that money, or perhaps because of it, comes a host of unique and very expensive restaurants. The Forum restaurant is one such establishment, and the chef behind the high-end reputation is Kun Yat Yung. He is truly a chef among chefs, and he regularly feeds the ultra-rich and famous. You're in for a unique culinary adventure here, because it was Chef Yung who first introduced me to ceramic stir-frying. So what are we starting with today?
Pigeon.
First, we cook the pigeons with nuts.
Pigeon stir-fried, and I can see from the dish there, those are very fancy pine nuts.
Put the oils in the really hot pots, and then put the pigeons inside, and make it stir-fried.
Stir-frying on a fairly low heat. I guess the pot provides
medium heat.
Medium heat.
Yeah, that's right.
I've never seen work done in a clay pot like this.
Yeah, that's right.
Quite beautiful.
And then after the pigeon change the color, and then we'll put the other things in. And that's the oyster sauce, delivery oyster sauce inside.
A very small amount of oyster sauce.
Yeah. More oil.
So you need to be very gentle with the pigeon meat.
Yeah, it's really very gentle, and don't cook it too much.
Now we have, I can see some ginger, carrot, and celery.
Yeah, that's right. And cook it together. It's not 呢個係喺邊度嚟嘅？呢個果仁。
果仁係中國啊。
哦 ，from China, this nuts. Yeah.
Okay. And what is this sauce?
This is the soy sauce.
But it's a very dark one.
Yeah, it's very dark. It's just make the colors more attractive. You cook it.
A little dash more oil to help finish the dish. It's so delicate. Always taste the sauce before you're done.
Yeah,
make sure it's right.
Right.
You can correct the seasoning.
Yeah. This one is the ham sauce.
That's broth from cooking Yunnan ham.
Ham, yeah, it's made by the ham.
A little bit more oyster sauce. Now at this point, this is where the chef corrects the seasoning. He tastes it first, and then he sees what additional flavorings or what adjustments need to be made. One of the most important points in cooking is assessing that sauce.
It's finished.
And onto the plate, which is already garnished with the pieces of deep-fried pigeon, so that it's clear exactly what kind of dish we're having. It's a very traditional presentation. Pigeon stir-fried with pine nuts. Before me is a pot of simmering abalone. It was dried Japanese abalone, and it's been carefully cooked already for 16 hours, along with chicken and pork and a very superior kind of broth, just to get it ready so now we can finish the dish.
First, this one is the abalone sauce.
Okay, so when the abalone is cooked,
same as that sauce, this one is
for the long time,
yeah, that's right.
It's cooked along with pork and chicken. And so what we're using now is just the fat from the top of that stock, because it has a wonderful, intense flavor. What's interesting about the clay pot that we're cooking in, it's originally a Chinese-style pot, but the Japanese, with their superior ceramics technology, have improved upon it. Previously, a dish like this could only be used for simmering, very liquid-based cooking methods.
Yeah.
But here, because the ceramic is so superior, we can actually use it almost dry, and in effect, we can stir-fry in this clay pot. What's important about that is because it's clay, there's no reaction with the food. There's no risk of ever transmitting a metallic taste that would have a negative effect on the food. 'What's interesting about the clay pot that we're cooking in, it's originally a Chinese-style pot, but the Japanese, with their superior ceramics technology, have improved upon it. Previously, a dish like this could only be used for simmering, very liquid-based cooking methods. But here, because the ceramic is so superior, we can actually use it almost dry, and in effect, we can stir-fry in this clay pot. What's important about that is because it's clay, there's no reaction with the food. There's no risk of ever transmitting a metallic taste that would have a negative effect on the food. Quite a brilliant idea, a very pure form of cooking.
Really gently, slowly, and then after enough, the color change, and then put more sauce with it.
This is a little bit more of the superior stock.
It's corn.
A little bit of cornstarch mixed with water. Classic thickening agent in Cantonese cuisine.
Make the sauce more concentrate.
And helps it to glaze and stick to the abalone as well. Producing a very shiny and succulent result. Now this dark soya sauce actually is not very salty. In fact, it's more like soya sauce mixed with caramel. And what it does is it gives a lovely Swedish, sort of a sweet salt flavor, but it doesn't overpower the dish.
Yeah, it's just not really salty.
And it gives the color, most importantly.
Yeah, it's color. It's used for color. Cook it in a plate.
Magnificent. At this point, with the abalone being such a wonderful, and not to mention expensive food, nothing is wasted. Cantonese cuisine is a very wonderful approach to cooking and to eating. At its base, what's important is emphasizing the natural flavors of the foods and creating harmonies amongst them. Now, Cantonese cooking is not just about stir-frying. There's all different kinds of approaches. Something we don't hear often about are salads. A salad of chicken and shrimp. And so a little deep frying going on here.
Yeah.
What kind of oil is that?
This one is fresh oil. It's it's corn oil.
Okay.
Corn oil, yes.
So here we are. Corn oil, and what's important here is it has not been used before for any other frying, so that the dish tastes perfect. The cooking process is quite fast, and I think it's important that we notice that the temperature of the oil isn't that hot. We're not deep frying at regular deep frying temperatures. I'm going to guess, I'd say we're cooking at about 300 to 325 degrees Fahrenheit in the oil. Normally we deep fry at 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point we make sure the cooking is even. And now it's important to allow the oil to drain. Get the pan hot. Some oil.
Some oils, and green onion.
I love the way the carrots are cut. They look quite lovely, but also it emphasizes that you can see there's not a great deal of carrot used. A little bit more green onion though. And this helps to make a nice aromatic and slightly sweet flavor. Gai choy, the small baby gai choy.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a popular vegetable in Cantonese cooking.
Yeah, that's right.
The gai choy had previously been blanched. Now we're going to finish a little seasoning, a little sauce for this dish. We have some ham stock.
Ham stock, yeah.
And it's like 2 teaspoons only were used. Quickly that'll evaporate and glaze the chicken and the shrimp. A lovely caramel soy, which is not very salty and is used mostly to provide a bit of color and of course its unique aroma. Some superior ham and chicken stock.
Yeah, that's the salad sauce.
And now some mayonnaise. Here you'd have to work carefully or the mayonnaise will fall apart.
Yeah, it's need a very careful for this one.
So those small ingredients beforehand, the caramel soy sauce, the superior stock, and the ham broth, help to create the flavor of the dressing for the salad.
Yeah, the flavor is very wonderful and you create this one really special.
Just a little drop of oil to help bind everything again. And now we dress the dish.
Yeah.
Very unique presentation. Looks so nice and creamy. Very interesting East meets West approach in this, the use of the mayonnaise. After your meal has sort of been going on for a while, you've enjoyed these wonderful seafood delicacies, you might want to think of having something a little bit more substantial to round out the meal. And in that case, you could end with rice. However, a great option is to have a chow mein.
Chow mein.
In this case, Yat chow mein, which means the #1 chow mein. They're not talking about the dish. They're talking about the sifu here, about the master chef who is known all throughout Hong Kong as #1. Okay, dried conpoy, and now some ginger. Just to explain what conpoy is, you might have read of it in many Chinese menus, Cantonese menus specifically. What conpoy is it's dried scallops, and it's considered a very special delicacy. The drying of the scallop really reinforces and concentrates its flavor. To get them ready for cooking, they are cleaned and then carefully steamed. And all the juice from steaming them is saved because it has a fantastic flavor. And then the conpoy, the dried scallop, can be shredded into small filaments, like has happened here. So by carefully adding only the amount of oil you need, a little bit at a time as you go along, instead of having noodles that stick and clump together, each noodle will stand out on its own. And you can taste it or feel it in your mouth as an individual strand.
There's the sprout, bean sprout.
Very exotic ingredient, bean sprouts. What's nice here is that they've been trimmed. The tail end and the head end have been cut off. And you can see they look very beautiful now. They don't look nearly as well, they don't look anything like bean sprouts at this point anymore. Just beautiful white threads.
These are abalone sauce.
From cooking the dried abalone along with pork and chicken, a rich stock results. Right now we've used a little bit of the stock and just a little bit of the very flavorful grease that rises to the top, the fat that rises to the top of the stock pot. Again, to provide just a little bit of oil and a lovely texture. Very little oil has gone into this dish. I mean, the first step was heating the pan with oil and pouring the excess out. Now, shredded green onion has been added.
And then put the onions inside, the little bit thigh, and make it soft.
I see what's happening now. The green onions, shredded, are being wrapped up in the noodle, and the heat of the noodle is bringing out their aroma. So they're kind of being steamed inside the hot noodle instead of being fried in the hot oil.
It's really special cooking style.
I can smell it, that's for sure. That is special. There's a point to remember. Okay, so at this point, leaving it alone, careful control on the heat means that the onions will soften, the green onion will soften, but the noodle on the bottom will cook a bit, giving that chow mein flavor. Chow mein simply means fried noodle. And of course, this is not a simple dish here, but it is very elegant, that's for sure. Chow, to stir fry, mein, noodle. Sifu, chef, thank you very much. Chef Yung from the Forum Restaurant, Mr. Kwok, again, thank you. Well, now, the way that Yat was preparing his food was very much a typical kind of stir-fry process. What was fascinating, though, was the ceramic dish he used to stir-fry the pigeon and pine nuts together. I thought maybe we could look at that, but from a different angle. The same technique, different ingredients. Today, instead of pigeon, we'll start with some shrimp. Now, the most important step here is to marinate the meat. That's a typical Cantonese approach. And we're going to marinate it with some cornstarch, some Chinese wine, a bit of sesame oil, sugar, white pepper, and that'll be our marinade right there. So what we'll do first is we'll put just a tiny pinch of white pepper over the shrimp, an equally tiny pinch of sugar, just like that. Our cornstarch next, and you only need a light dusting. Here it comes. All right. What the cornstarch will do is it'll add a very nice shine to the dish, and it'll help keep the shrimp nicely separated, help them to develop a nice color. A drop of sesame oil now, just a little bit, and just so that mixes in, a splash of Chinese wine. Now, if you don't have any Chinese wine, a good alternative would be some dry sherry or a nice whiskey if you have one hanging around. And this gives a perfume to the dish that is very typically Cantonese. The other ingredients in this stir fry are going to be basic. We're going to use some Shanghai Bok Choy. Some I've already prepared here, but I wanted to show you what the plant looks like. It kind of looks like a small bok choy, and it's got a lovely green color and a very delicious sweetness to it as well. And it's very easy to work with. All you need to do, break off a piece. Now this one's broken, so we wouldn't use it necessarily. Here's another one. And simply clean it under running water. And then, to get it ready for stir frying, separate the toughest part from the tenderest part, like that. The leaf can be split vertically, put aside, and then the base end, trim it a bit, and just cut it on the angle. Make little triangles out of it if you want, and put them in with the rest of the Shanghai Bok Choy. Get them ready to stir fry like that. Now you could do the same approach with all kinds of vegetables, and if you want to work with carrots and so on, well, this next step is very important. I have over here on the burner, safety glove, I have some boiling water. And what we're going to do is we're going to blanch these tougher parts of the vegetable in the boiling water. Now when I say that, what I mean is you could be using any other tough vegetable into the boiling water, just like that. Very, very briefly, we'll put the heat back up, bring it back to a boil, and then when the color changes and it gets nice and green, if you're using broccoli for instance, or when you think the carrots are partially cooked through, if you're using carrots, then it's time to take them out. The Shanghai Bok Choy is not very tough at all, but still, to make the stir-fry recipe come together quickly, it's important to do this blanching step. Look at the green develop. That's looking lovely. We don't want to risk it going too far, so let's rescue this right now. If you want to prepare ahead, at this point, simply rinse the vegetables. Oh, I'm being sloppy, aren't I? Rinse the vegetables with a little bit of cold water. Chill them down. Put them in the fridge. Bring them back out and up to room temperature before you cook with them, and you can continue on your stir fry from there. That won't necessarily give you the freshest result, but if it's important that you get things going ahead of time, well, then that's the way to do it. We'll just get rid of this boiling water here now. There we go. Put our pan back and ready to continue. We have a little bit more organizing to do around the stove, and I'm about to start that now. In a moment, we'll be ready to complete the dish. Day 24. I've always been a great believer in the healing powers of Chinese medicine, but even I wasn't prepared for the delicacies I found here at the Food Expo. But hey, with Godzilla as a spokesperson, how can I go wrong? The Chinese have been advocating the benefits of medicine derived from herbs and plants for centuries. They have been exporting this knowledge and the products to consumers worldwide for years. But this food fair is a little different. Sure, the health benefits are being advertised, but these interesting morsels are being introduced to the Hong Kong public as something akin to snack food. The carnival-like atmosphere must be a big draw. Entire families turn out for this event, even if it seems to have as much to do with good old-fashioned Western marketing techniques as it does healthy Asian food. It may not be cotton candy and taffy apples, but it sure feels the same. Now, where is that Ferris wheel? Okay, now we're ready. We have all the ingredients at hand. That is to say, they're arranged around our cooking area so we can start stir frying. Stir frying is a great technique to practice, and it's a fun way to cook. Cooking with a wok, that's okay. Cooking in a cast iron frying pan when you're talking about stir frying, hey, that's a very good idea. But now cooking in one of these, that's great. I love these pans. This is a ceramic pan, and why it's great is it'll work on fire, it'll work over coals. Most importantly, with the flat bottom, it's going to work over an electric stove as well. However, the real secret to the delicious flavor you can develop with this kind of a pot is the fact that this pan is non-reactive. The foods will not have any contact with metal. There'll be no metallic taste. You get a perfect dish. And in other words, from a Cantonese point of view, a perfect stir fry. I love these dishes. Now, let's get back to the cooking here. Oh yes. Carefully regulate the heat, not too hot, we're going to put in some oil. With these kinds of ceramic dishes, you don't need to use a very high fire. We're just going to let our oil warm up here. And we're going to add in some lovely bits of carrot and allow the oil to capture all their flavors. Now, I've got some pretty lovely little carrots here, and I don't want to imply that I'm a master of fruit and vegetable carving. Have a little look at this item here. This is a little vegetable punch. You press it into the vegetable, and then you carefully slice to create the individual little carrot. You can get it in fruits and whatnot styles, different animals, but I happen to love these little crabs. They're so charming. The oil has absorbed the flavor of the carrot very nicely now, and we're going to put in some nice pieces of ginger. These are cut attractively to give the stir-fry dish a nice finished appearance. Don't use too much ginger, it tastes good, and I know that's a real temptation, but the secret with Cantonese cooking is to hold back on the ginger. A couple of cloves of garlic, and all that's happened to them rather is they've been crushed, bruised, so that they'll let out their flavor into the oil as well. Now it's time for our marinated shrimp. And we can begin stir-frying these right away. While they're cooking, we're going to reinforce the flavors that we established in the marinade. A little pinch of white pepper, a tiny pinch of sugar, and just the tiniest hit of the Chinese wine, sherry, or whiskey. Work in teaspoons when you're stir-frying like this and seasoning. The lighter the touch, the more delicate the flavor, the better the result. Okay, it's time now for our blanched bit of Shanghai Bok Choy. Remember, it could be any other kind of vegetable. Just keep in mind that if it's a tough vegetable, if it's a fibrous one, you might want to consider blanching it beforehand, as we did, to ensure that it will be tender and delicious in the stir-fry dish. This way, everything cooks evenly. That's what's so important. As we mix that around, now we're going to add the tender leaves from the bok choy, the Shanghai Bok Choy, and of course now they have not been blanched. We'll mix them in a bit, but don't worry about getting them cooked here, because we're going to start adding a little splash of basic chicken stock. And to tell you the truth, you don't have to make a chicken stock. You can use a canned chicken broth. Whoa, there's a little sign that the heat is a bit too high. A little splash of that. And there we go. Mix that in, reducing the chicken stock until the leaves wilt and they develop a lovely, lovely green color. Oh, what a delicious stir-fry dish this is. Stir-fry shrimp and Shanghai Bok Choy. If you can see at the bottom, the little bit of juice that's happening here is boiling away. And what happens when it boils away? It concentrates all the delicious flavors of this stir-fry dish that are so important to us. So now I'll turn off the heat, and carefully, if not a little awkwardly here, I'm going to serve this up so you can see what's happening right from the pan. Oh, I don't want to make a mess, but normally I do this at another angle. However, for television we can always make adjustments. And here we have it. A lovely stir-fry shrimp dish. Let's use the handy chopsticks and make this look pretty. Bring up some of these lovely crabs cut out of carrot so that it looks delicious and appealing. And we'll top the dish finally. Where's another crab hiding around in here? Hey, it's worse than the seashore looking for these things here. Well, we're doing our, oh, there it is. There's a lovely another crab. And then we'll top this dish with some freshly cut green onion, just so we can get the aroma of the green onion coming up at us. And there you have it, a wonderful stir-fry dish of prawns, little shrimp if you will, and Shanghai Bok Choy. It's a simple stir-fry dish. Well, learning about stir-frying from a great master or sifu was really a treat. But what was revolutionary for me was stir-frying in a ceramic pot like this one. I was impressed by the fact that the ceramic interior has no reaction with the food. That's important in all kinds of cooking. But the real kicker was the fact that you're stir-frying on a medium heat and still getting all the character and all the flavor of a real stir-fried dish. That was revolutionary. I'm Thomas Robson. This was Entree to Asia.
To find out more about Entree to Asia, including recipes and program descriptions, visit our website at www.entreetoasia.com.